Question for my future self. What would it look like if I actually followed through on my goals in 2026? Well, I have no answers for you just yet because I am not my future self. I am still my current self. But I do have some ideas in order to get to my future self that is successful, because I genuinely do want to know, what would that look like? What would that look like to follow through with all of my goals? I have intentions that are habits that I want to start implementing in order to have a successful 2026 year. That is what we're going for in this video. If you have anything to add to it, if you're like, hey, these are some things that I have done for my intentions in order to be successful in goals. That's not to say that I have never reached a goal. I have reached goals, but I've never achieved all of my goals in a year. And that's something that I would love to do just one time. Just one time. I would love to be like, yeah, I did all of my goals. I did all of them. And it was glorious. So with that said, welcome to the video. If you would do me a favor, please, and like, comment, and subscribe. Do all the things that YouTube likes for you to do so that, you know, this gets pushed out. And we can start in. First, I would like to say that in 2024, I was pregnant with my first child. And because I was pregnant with my first child, I went into a lot of reading slumps. Now, I still ended up reading 126 books. That is a lot of books. I was also on bed rest. Okay, I'm not knocking anyone who does read 126 books in a year and like is not on bed rest, but I happened to be on bed rest for a while, like a very long time during that pregnancy. And so I did get to do a lot of reading. And then when baby was born, she just didn't do much. And again, I got to do a lot of reading and resting, but also reading. So that is where I was able to read a lot. However, in 2026, we are coming into this year pregnant again. Yes, that's right. We are expecting baby number 2 in July. I'm currently 13. I can't speak. I am currently 13 weeks pregnant. We are very excited, very blessed. It did come kind of as a shock because I am diagnosed as infertile. So we were not expecting it, but also we were very, very, very overjoyed because it's supposed to be the most difficult thing for me to be able to get pregnant. And the fact that I was able to do it twice, it's astounding. It was just very astounding. My body doesn't do the things that it's supposed to normally do. So overall, we are just beyond excited. So with that said, I do fully intend to go into a reading slump because that's exactly what happened the last time. And I have seen other booktube creators who get pregnant and go into a reading slump. So I think it's just a part of pregnancy where you go into a reading slump. So I'm expecting that. And with that, I have some intentions to help battle that. My intention number 1 is that I am going to shoot for 10 pages a day. 10 pages. That's all I'm shooting for, is 10 pages a day. 10 pages for me. I read pretty fast. I'm a fast reader. I usually read around 50 to 60 pages an hour, depending on the book. Some books are just easier to read than other books. They're YA, they're middle grade. You're going to speed through those. And then you have other books that are much more thought-provoking and slow me down because I am focusing on that page. I've had books that I read like 30 pages an hour. I was a very slow reader. But with that said, average, I probably read between like 50 to 60 pages an hour. I would say average. I'm shooting for 10 pages. 10 pages in 24 hours. That's all I'm trying to do every single day. And if I can get to that, great. If I get to more than that, amazing. If I don't get to that at all, fantastic. But that's what I'm shooting for. That's my goal. I think that will help me to stay on track because my goal this year is to read 35 books. I do have a 1-year-old. She is 14 months old and we are potty training. She has been pretty much amazing doing the potty training. We have peed in the potty. It's been very exciting. Everybody claps. She doesn't really know why she's like doing this. She just knows that she gets a Cheez-It and claps every time she does it. So she goes and does it. So it's very exciting. However, it is also very time consuming because you have to watch this girl like a hawk because otherwise she will go into a corner. So with that said, there's even less time for reading because also her nap times have changed again. It's so frustrating. If anybody who has a child understands, like when they change their nap time, it throws everything off because you were like, I was expecting you to be in bed by now and you usually sleep for 3 hours and now you're not. So everything's different. Everything's changing. And so I'm trying so hard to keep my life in some sort of a semblance of balance so that I can achieve my goals. Just a little bit of balance. That's all I'm asking for. The 10 pages I think is very doable. Another intention that I'm going into 2026 for is, and this is like not a goal. This is just the intentions of it. Like I intend to read 10 pages a day. That's not my goal to read 10 pages a day. I'm not trying to read 10 pages a day. I'm just trying, or I'm not like demanding I read 10 pages a day. I'm just trying to get reading in, especially like during the during the small nap times. I think if I tell myself I just have to read 10 pages and then I will feel like I have read something. If she goes down for a nap and she's only going to go down for like 2 hours and I'm like, okay, I got to do dishes, I got to do laundry, I got to do this, I got to do that, but I can do 10 pages. That doesn't make me feel bad. Does that make sense? Like I don't feel guilty that I read 10 pages and like there's still dishes in the sink that need to get done. Like that doesn't make me feel as bad as like I want to read for an hour, because an hour is a very long time when you have a 14-month-old. Also, there's a girl down the street who said that she's like in high school, and her sister are both babysitters, certified and everything. And they are such wonderful, wonderful girls. They're so sweet and so nice. And they said that they would be willing to watch my daughter while I clean. So that would actually be very helpful. Another intention that I have is consuming more books through audiobooks while I am doing chores. That would help me with my 10 pages, I think. I do have an audiobook that I got from the library actually, and I've been listening to it while I do the dishes at night. And I mean, it doesn't take me long to do these dishes. It takes me like maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes to do the dishes. But listening to the audiobook, that's 20 to 30 minutes that I get to listen to an audiobook. Like, that's fantastic. And while I do believe audiobooks count as your reading goal, I do count audiobooks as books off your reading goal. So I'm not saying you have to make two different goals. I do classify them as consuming books, and I think that wording trips a lot of people up, but that's just my language. It's much easier for me to understand that I consumed a book and not read a book. That helps my brain. It helps my brain. And maybe it doesn't maybe it doesn't help your brain, but it helps mine to understand what an audiobook does for me, because I am consuming it. I am not reading it. And I am very literal in my brain. And it confuses me and frustrates me when I use different language. Okay? That's all of that. I'm not trying to start a fight online, I promise. I do count it as a reading goal. Like I do count it towards my reading goal. I just count it as a book that I consumed, which I think is just fine. Like it doesn't need to be this. But I get to listen to my audiobook for about 20 to 30 minutes a night, and that's been fantastic. Also, what else? Oh, I found that I can actually listen to audiobooks if I'm doing dishes, something monotonous that is mostly muscle memory that I don't really have to like focus on, because I have really hard time focusing on anything in this world. And so sometimes I would I remember one time, I just remember this one story so like vividly, but I went to the bar with one of my friends when I was like in my early 20s. And she was like, I just love when I tell you a story because you look at me like you're hanging on to every word. And the thing is that I was trying so hard to understand what she was saying because it was so loud in the bar and my distraction level was at an all-time high. And so I was like very intently focused on her so that I didn't like seem like I wasn't listening and had to keep continuously asking, I'm sorry, what was that? 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 So that is one of the reasons why I struggle with listening to audiobooks, because I really need to be focused on the audiobook, on the narrator. And if I'm doing something that requires any type of a focus, then I don't know what's happening in the audiobook and it's really difficult. So, but I did find that doing dishes, because it's mostly muscle memory and I'm not truly like focused on when I'm doing the dishes. Like, it's just a lot of like rinse, scrub, sanitize, rinse, hang to dry. Like it's not anything that is too mind consuming. So anyways, moving on. Another intention that I'm going into with my reading goals, at least for this month, I just want to see if these work for this month. If it doesn't work for this month, then I will tweak them as I go. But I am trying to DNF earlier. I have found that I have very limited time, and I'm sure people can relate to this, especially if you have a full-time job, if you have a life outside of reading, you just have way too limited time for people to tell you, no, you have to get to this point of a book in order for it to get good. For instance, I remember when I read Iron Flame and I was like, guys, this is a bad book. Like, it's just poorly written. And they're like, no, you just have to get to chapter 35. Chapter 35? That's half of the book. What do you mean? I did get to chapter 35, and after that, yeah, it did start to pick up, but I was like, why would you force me? Just cut the first half of the book, especially since the first half of the book didn't even relate to the second half of the book. Nothing mattered. And so life is too short. I don't have enough time, and I don't have the luxury of waiting to chapter 35 anymore, especially with my life situation at the moment. So I will be DNFing much earlier. The second I'm like, this is not the book for me, we will move on. And that's okay. Like, it's not for me. You are not me. So I don't see why it matters to you. I understand if it's one of your favorite books and it hurts your feelings that somebody doesn't appreciate the artwork that you appreciate. But at the same time, like, we all have different tastes. It's the way it is. I like very spicy food. My husband, not as much. And so everybody has a different taste, and that's fine. It's totally fine. It is not that big of a deal. I feel like people make it a big deal, and I'm not really sure why. Another intention that I have for 2026 is I really want to utilize my library, because one of my goals in 2026 is to be on a book buying ban. And I feel like on book buying bans in the past, I really just read what I owned, and I feel like I missed out on a lot of newer releases and stuff like that. And that kind of like bummed me out, because I just felt like I was out of the loop and out of the conversation. So I really want to utilize my library and be able to read new releases without having to pre-order them the year before or anything like that, because that was a lot of the things that I did. And I still did pre-order some books in 2025, not nearly as many as I did before, because I was just pre-ordering everything so that I made sure that, like, if it happened to be a good book, that I was like, I got this. For 2026, I do want to utilize my library a lot more. The only books that I pre-ordered really were books that I actually genuinely were excited about, because they were part 2 of a series or part 4 of a series or whatever it is. And yeah. Oh, another intention that I have is to also really utilize my Pango, because I sell books on Pango. In case you didn't know, I sell books on Pango, and I am updating that pretty regularly, like if not every week, every other day. I've been adding books to it, and you guys have been like buying like crazy, and that's been so amazing. Most of my books are priced between $2 to $5. There's a few that are more, because they're series that I just decided to keep together, because I feel like when people buy books, they tend to buy series rather than like one of the books. Or maybe that's just me. I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one with that mental disorder. But I really wanted to have a train of thought, and I can't have a train of thought because now it's gone. The train has left the station. Oh, Pango. Okay, great. So yeah, I really want to utilize Pango, because on Pango, when you make money on Pango, you can use that money to buy books on Pango and save a little bit of money. I really want to utilize that before I use my own actual money. And so like, that's like outside of book sales. So I feel as though like if I sell books and then get a book, like that's just kind of trading in my head. I don't know why, but like that math works in my head, where it's just like trading. It's not actual money, because it never went into my account. Whereas if money goes into my account, I really don't want to spend it on books this year. Like, I'm trying so hard to not do that. There were a couple instances where I had to do that in 2024, and it just really frustrated me. Also, I want to utilize, like, people did give me a lot of gift cards and stuff like that, and that was great. But for the most part, I think that I really just want to be able to save as much money as I can, especially with baby number 2 on the way. There's a lot of expenses with that. Children are expensive. My kid eats so much food, and we just really want to utilize saving money, or prioritize. We really want to prioritize saving money over me spending it on books that I may or may not read. That's the problem, is that I'm buying books and I'm not reading them. And so the even years is I'm trying to focus on the books that I own so that I can read them, so that I can, make myself feel better about buying them. But I think that's pretty much all of my intentions that I have specifically for January, just for me to like focus on and see if that helps me in any shape or manner or whatever. I have been using the reading apps, because I just wanted to see like which ones are genuinely good, which ones are genuinely not helpful. There's already a few apps that I'm loving, and there's other apps that I'm like, this just feels like it's doing so much and it's really complicated and it's not user friendly at all. I can go on a rant, honestly. Like, that would be the whole video, is me going on a rant on this one particular app that everybody seems to really like, and I don't understand why. I cannot figure it out. I'm getting so angry and frustrated with it, and it's just such a popular app. And yeah, so I don't know, maybe I'll make another video, but that would just be me ranting, like hardcore ranting. Anyways, those are my intentions for the month of January. My child just woke up in the morning. It is 7 o'clock in the morning. What time is it actually? It's 7:30. Okay, great. So that's what I have for you right now. And I will check in next month and see if these intentions worked. If they didn't work, okay, that's fine. But if they did work, hopefully they worked. I will check in and tell you what did work, what didn't work, what I needed to tweak, what I didn't need to tweak. Maybe this will be a series. I don't know, but that's what I have for you right now. Please leave a comment, like, and subscribe. Do all the things that YouTube likes for you to do. And I will see you in the next one. Okay, thanks. Bye.